The following is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.
Hello, besties! This is episode 3 of Childlike at Best with Mike Valdes, and I am still the second part of that statement. This week, I'm chatting with my friend and stand-up comedian, Reggie. He is an amazingly funny guy from Miami, Florida. He has his own podcast called Jibber Jabber with Reggie, which you can check out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are sold. This is a really great episode. We talk about some really great things. We talk about cartoons and things that we liked when we were kids. We also go into a deep dive about comedy and how he got started into that world. And of course, we get into a really great cereal review. I really think you guys are going to like this one, so please enjoy my friend and stand-up comedian, Reggie. Hey guys, this is Childlike at Best with Mike Valdes. Hey guys, guess what? I'm Mike Valdes, and today I have an amazing guest with me, Reggie.
Hello, everyone.
What's up, man?
How's it going, podcast listeners? How's it going, Mike?
What's up, dude?
I'm doing good. Here,
Yeah, man.
chilling in your garage and, already recording.
Well, before I start, we usually like to take a Flintstones vitamin before we start because this whole thing
snap.
is, we like to really take it back to childhood. These are the Flintstones Complete Gummies, so if you have diarrhea or anything, I got you covered. So you can just go ahead and take one.
Okay. I can't seem to open it because I am still a child.
That's
All right.
childproof locks.
Perfect. And you got the gummies, too. The gummies were the ones that hit different.
Yeah.
The non-gummies, that was chalk.
Yeah. It actually was. So as you're taking that, can you tell me about where you grew up?
I grew up, specifically, near San Juan Bosco in Little Havana.
Awesome.
That's a church that I went to Catholicism for, Catholic school, and it was like 3 houses, all stuck together like a triplex. It was 2 stories, and I grew up there for a good chunk of maybe till first grade.
Okay.
And then after first grade, I moved to 18, 19, something, 9th Street.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to give the full address because now a priest lives there.
Oh, boy.
Which, by the way, seeing your old childhood home
Yeah.
occupied by somebody else is such an eerie feeling.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's different furniture and stuff, so it smells different.
Yeah, even my neighbors change. I see them every once in a while when I drive by. I'll drive by just for the nostalgia of it, and the whole that whole neighborhood that I used to live in. It's in 8th Street, like the touristy 8th Street. I live right behind it. Okay. I used to live right behind it, and I was 2 blocks away from Shenandoah Elementary, and 4 or 5 blocks away from Shenandoah Middle. So, I stayed there for a large chunk of my life, and even stayed there till till after I graduated high school when I came back. But so I grew up in Little Havana. That's a breakdown. But I was talking about the neighborhood. The neighborhood of 8th Street, that whole neighborhood has changed. New businesses, new restaurants. When I used to live there, it used to be so not cool.
Right.
I don't think it's cool now, but it was a bit grittier. There weren't fancy donut shops or a craft beer bar
Right.
with a taco shop in the back. Yeah. There were I didn't see as many tourists as I did now. There was no azúcar, if you're familiar with that famous Miami ice creamery. Yeah. No, it was dollar stores as far as the eye could see, cigar shops, and a McDonald's and a Burger King,
Right.
and then Brickell. That's all that there was there.
I believe those were McDonald's and Burger King, though.
Yeah, Bedgin. Depends on who. Either Booger King, Burger King, Burger King.
One of any of those, really. Those are the kinds that you get in Miami. What kind of kid were you? Like, how would you describe yourself? Like, who did you sit with at lunch?
Oh, okay. So I was, oh man, this is a good question. So in elementary school, I was, okay, you know what? I got a story that's probably more emblematic of
Sure.
like how I was as a kid.
Yeah.
So in elementary school, I had a PE teacher called Miss B. That was her nickname, or what name she wanted to go by, Miss B. And she was very harsh and like very big on us, like, you know, excelling physically. She was even the cheerleading coach. And apparently our cheerleading team at Shenandoah Elementary was pretty legit. But one time she's testing all of us with like our speed. Like we have to do like a half lap.
Sure.
Right?
I remember those.
Yeah, and then like just like real quick as fast as you can. Now the fastest kid in the class was Francisco. I like being fast when I was a kid was a big deal. Yeah. Like if you were fast, you were the coolest guy ever, or the coolest girl. Like being fast transcended like gender, sex, or anything.
Sure.
Like, if you were fast, that was you, and you were it. And I didn't want to be fast. Like I was a little bit fast, you know, and then. Because I didn't really care about being super physical, but in this particular test, like this half lap or whatever, I was looking at everybody go, but she was like acting very angry at them, like or just thinking back now, she was just being very animated. So I'm like, you know what, they're probably doing it wrong. So then it was my turn. I do the half lap, and I'm killing the time, and I get to the finish line, and I stop in front of the finish line. and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then she's like, no, cross the finish line. Right. And I'm like, wait, we were supposed to cross? And then she's like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh. And then I walk over the finish line, and then she's just fuming. And then she's like, what were you doing? You would have had the fastest time. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought that's how you're supposed to do it. So I was kind of an airhead. I was kind of like a weirdo. And I had friends, and I had like a bunch of different friends. Of course. You know, I had my main core group, and I also had a crush on the same girl all the way till like end of middle school. So that's kind of the type of kid I was.
Dude, me too.
Yeah, I was kind of also reserved. Like I was very reserved, and I loved tucking in my shirt. Like I just always tucked in my shirt.
Yeah, I did the same.
Yeah, it just felt natural. I was like, this is great.
Weird.
And then like, you know, everybody was, I didn't stop tucking in my shirt till 7th grade.
Holy cow.
That's when I stopped tucking in my shirt.
You know what? I think I didn't stop tucking in my shirt until 7th grade as well. I remember because I was in youth group, and one of the cool kids that was like a senior saw me and was like, dude, why do you keep tucking in your shirt? You look like a dork. And I'm just like, no, man, that's how I like it. I look really cool. Like wearing my American Eagle t-shirt, like tucked in like a moron. And he's just like, no, man, you're supposed to like not tuck it in. And then, and I remember he went to my school was the same as my church. So I went to the same school as my church. And every time I would see him and I would have my shirt tucked in, I would like get scared and untuck it. That happened for like maybe like a month.
Yeah, I used to. So
I got bullied out of untucking my shirt,
which is the softest form of bullying.
Yeah, it
but
really
it wasn't.
is.
But it also wasn't bullying. He's
it
like,
wasn't at all.
Dude, you look like a dork.
Exactly.
Untuck your shirt. Yeah. And then you in your brain, you're like, oh gosh, he's gonna.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, like elementary school was like was. You know, I had a lot of different friends, and like the track, like elementary school was kind of weird because once you got to 5th grade, you were going to 6th grade, and then from that point, a lot of Shenandoah kids like got to choose which middle school to go to. Mm-hmm. So then a lot of the friends, like one of my childhood friends, his name is Dudley C. Shouts out to Dudley. He was super cool because he would play a lot of video games, and then he did one of my favorite things. describe video games to me.
Okay.
He just tell me like,
he was
okay.
before Twitch.
Yeah, he was before Twitch. Exactly.
He just had a Twitch.
He's now an English teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think he's about to get married.
That's awesome. Well, congrats.
He just tell me, okay, so in Mega Man, you got to do this. And then you go here and you do this. And then you fight this boss. And I'm like, wow, dude, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Keep on telling me more.
Yeah.
And I also played video games a lot. But, you know, a lot of people parted ways because they're like, oh, I'm going to go to Ponce. I'm going to go to Citrus. I'm going to go here and there and all that stuff. And then I went to...
Those don't sound like school names.
Ponce de Leon's a school name.
I'm going to go to
Citrus
I'm going to go to Citrus. I'm going to go to...
Those sound like
go to Pollo.
Nickelodeon, like fake high schools.
Fake high schools?
Like the Fighting
Who goes
Roosters.
to Orange Elementary? I did.
Orange Elementary,
Yeah.
Yankee Elementary. You can rattle off a couple of them.
It's so true. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, like a lot of people parted ways, but I kept on going through like the Shenandoah track, I guess. I went to Shenandoah Middle. And yeah, elementary school, like I remember it being a lot of fun. I also went to an after school program there. And that after school program was where I learned the word dildo, which I thought was the funniest thing in the world. Okay. Yeah, it was a friend of mine whose name was Ernesto. Okay. And he was like a grade above me. Yeah. And like he also was like super vulgar. Yeah. And
for some reason I'm imagining Ernest from like the Ernest Goes to Camp movies.
I know. Yeah. If he was if Ernest had spiked hair, huge buck teeth, a little brother who was just as vulgar.
Yeah. And instead of Vern, his name was People.
Yeah. Yeah, he taught me the word dildo, and actually, funny story about that. I was laughing all the way to the water fountain one time at the after school program. Right. And then like one of the teachers was like, what's so funny? You know? No. And then I just told him blatantly, dildo.
No context.
Yeah, no context. I was like, dildo. Did you know that was a thing, teacher? That's hilarious. And then he's like, who taught you that? And it's like, Ernesto, he's hilarious. And then he got in trouble, but...
Remember when comedy was easy?
Yeah.
All you had to do was say dildo and
oh my gosh,
you got carried out of the room.
I also had this friend named Bradley, who was way too funny for a child.
Sure.
Like just way too funny. Yeah. Why are we both the same age? What are you doing? This stuff is killer.
What made him so funny?
He was just always turned on. Yeah. Like never turned off. Like in class, during lunch, in
turned
the line.
On comedically.
Yeah, turned on comedically. Maybe turned on.
That kid always had a boner, and it was hilarious.
But Bradley was always turned on, and like just turned on comedically, and he was always tuned, right? And he was like super funny, and he'd be like, He was making like I remember one joke, and I do not have the context for this. I'm trying to like scour the memory banks, but he was like, he was making a joke about how he found like one of his dad's porn tapes. I was like, this is a very elevated premise for a child,
right?
And then he's like, oh man, and the tape was weird. It was called Freaky Porno, and then I turn it on, it's a bearded lady, and I'm like, whoa, that's so funny. What are you saying? And I'm like,
what the heck?
Yeah, I know. He was if he was like if he was 22 and it was the early 2000s, 90s at that time, he would have been killing. Yeah. He would have been killing.
What were you into as a child? Like you said you liked video games a lot. Did you have any television shows, movies, or anything that you had to watch repeatedly or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't get cable till sixth grade, sixth grade or summer of 6, right? I didn't get cable till then, so I was still on basic like cable, like just like the antenna, just what you get through there. Yeah. So like in terms of like television, I used to watch a lot of adult like not for kids, like stuff that wasn't for kids.
Like Jerry Springer and Judge Judy.
Exactly. Like on the summers, it was in summer it was Seinfeld. Mm-hmm. Everybody Loves Raymond. Mm-hmm. Yes, Dear.
Okay. Yes, Dear. Holy cow.
Yeah, no, these are deep TBS syndicated cuts.
Yeah.
Becker. Yeah. I used to watch Becker as a child. The TV show with David Spade where he worked at an ad.
Just Shoot Me.
Just Shoot Me.
Yeah.
I used to watch Just Shoot Me. Yeah. Then I also used to watch. I already mentioned Everybody Loves Raymond. One of my only cartoons was The Simpsons that I could consistently watch. Yeah. Because at that time to catch cartoons, you either had to be super early in the morning for some reason.
That's very true.
Like the places like UPN, Fox, or some other channel I forget. They would play anime early in the morning before that was during
Fox
the time.
Kids.
Yeah, Fox Kids, UPN had that. That was before, like, when kids were getting ready to go to school, that's where that time slot would be.
Yeah, Fox Kids at 5 o'clock in the morning would play Bananas in Pajamas.
Yes.
And then at 5:30 would play Pokemon.
Yes.
And that was how I would watch Pokemon before getting ready to go to school. I would catch only the tail end of Bananas in Pajamas when they were in their pajamas and they were going down the stairs. That was the only part I remember. And then, Pokemon.
Here's the other thing. Multiple channels did it. So a friend of mine used to talk about how he would see the Mega Man anime early in the morning. I'm like, dude, I want to watch it. Where is it?
Sure.
Could never find the channel, right? Could never find it. In trying to find it,
remember those days?
Yeah.
When you had to ask someone, and if they didn't know, you just didn't know.
You just didn't see that show. That's like, okay, I guess I'm never watching it.
I guess I have to believe you that it's on.
Yeah. I can't confirm this.
Yeah.
So in trying to find it, was it Fox that had it? I could have sworn it was UPN that had Pokemon because that's where I would. Maybe it was, but what I'm trying to say is that Sailor Moon is what I would catch,
Sailor Moon.
And a very obscure anime called Monkey Magic.
I don't remember that show.
I hope it's not a fever dream. I hope it's not one of those like, oh yeah, you used to watch Static every morning. I don't know why.
It turned into monkeys doing card tricks.
Yeah. So what Monkey Magic was about? It was based on the Chinese tale of Journey to the West.
Okay.
Where like the monkey god would and his like crew would try and journey to the West to do something. I'm not too clear on the actual Chinese lore, but like Monkey Magic was just like this monkey who would like ride around in a cloud, and he looked like a monkey. He was like the monkey god, and like he'd fight whatever big bad it was that episode. And Sailor Moon was people are more familiar with that because that's super famous.
Yeah.
I would catch that in the morning, and like I'd hear the theme song in the morning, and I had just enough time in the morning to watch one full episode.
Sure. It's funny because I watch these YouTube videos now of people that are like the top 10 cartoons everyone forgets about or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll show you, because Fox Kids at a time, I don't know if you remember this, when you were a stand-up comedian, you either had a sitcom made about you or a cartoon. And there was a time where like Howie Mandel had Bobby's World, Louis Armstrong had Life with Louie, like all these different kinds of things. John Candy had his own one called Camp Candy. Even Macaulay Culkin had his own show called Star Kid. I mean, it was like bonkers, right? And which also was a show on Fox Kids. Then there's like these other ones like the Monkey Magics of the world, where they're like, yeah, there's this other show called Some Dude and His Dragon, and like, what's that show about? I don't know. It's just some dude with his dragon. And that was the whole show. And you liked it? Yeah, I saw all 5 seasons of it. Like, what in the world are you talking about?
Yeah, animation back then was it almost felt like it was it was a gold mine. Like it was like, yeah, pump out these cartoons, pump it, because there were actual strong networks for it for every time slot.
Dude,
and this was without cable.
They were half-hour commercials for the toy.
Yeah,
that's really what they were.
Yeah, that's what they were. They were just half-hour commercials for the toy. I mean, that's why what's it called? G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Got a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Transformers.
Even Power Rangers, things like that. I mean, they're all just commercials for toys.
Yeah.
I remember all that stuff. Oh my gosh. What about movies? Was there a movie that you got really into? I like to think usually everyone around our age, there was one movie usually that starred an animal that they were really into. Like my last guest was really into Free Willy.
Okay.
You know, I really like Dunstan Checks In. You know, everybody has to have that one movie with an animal in it, because in the 90s that was
big.
That was a huge deal.
You know what I think mine was?
What was
like
that?
Honestly, so it's between Sister Act and Benji.
Does Sister Act have an animal in it?
No, it doesn't. But I was just like, if we're talking just in general movies,
sure.
My animal one is Benji,
Yeah.
and like the reason why I also like Sister Act. So I would spend a lot of time with my grandmother on my dad's side, and she also didn't have cable, but she had VHSs.
Okay.
And they were like every Benji movie. Benji's about like this dog. Yeah. Yeah, and like his family and the dog would like, you know, he's the protagonist, and he'd like solve something. There's like a I'm a bad adult, and then like Benji would like you know reveal that they're a bad adult or whatever, or save the day, or teach something along the way. Yeah. And like I'd be like
kind of like the Wishbone of the world, like except like, he would go he wouldn't travel time.
Yeah, he wouldn't travel time or transcend dimensions or
like Wishbone did.
And he didn't have a soothing voice like Wishbone.
Yeah, that's true.
And then so that I think that was probably my animal like thing.
I remember Sister Act. I don't think I've ever seen the first Sister Act. I only saw Back in the Habit, which I love. Back in the Habit. I don't know. From a Sister Act fan, I don't know if the second one isn't as good as the first one.
It's very divisive in the community. Like it divides the community.
Divides the Sister Act community.
There's a subreddit, Sister Act 1 versus Sister Act 2.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Look, man, Sister Act 2 has Oh Happy Day. Like, that's a really good musical number. Do you remember any, like, commercials?
Oh, commercials?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually... let me know if this rings a bell. Shark fin flippers for torpedo power. Do you know that?
Dude, I can't tell you how many times I have like been trying to like go through my life just talking to someone, and I can't remember what sentence I'm going to say to them, but what's in my head is crossfire, you'll get caught up in the crossfire. or like sock and boppers. Punch your dad in the freaking nutsack. Or like whatever it was.
It was more fun than a pillow fight.
That's what it
Blow
was.
Blow him up. Then
Mine's better.
No, punch your dad in the nuts.
Yeah, and because it always ended with a kid punching his dad in the nuts, and he's like, my balls, and the kid's like, I win.
Yes. And then the mom's like, you guys.
You boys.
Oh, gosh. Those are my little men.
That's
seriously
amazing.
My balls. Just imagine the set, like the take after that. Fuck this little kid. All right, he's really punching me.
That's amazing.
We should have just hired the little person.
Dude, I'm freaking dying. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Here's another one. Have I told you lately that I loved you?
Yeah. I mean,
Songs for Lovers. Volume
for Lovers
7 or some shit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they never actually went to 7.
Why.
They started at 7.
They just started.
Yeah, because 7 sounds better than most numbers.
Yeah, I would. So when I finally got cable, that for some reason that commercial would come on during daytime children's television. Please tell me why live without you. Yeah,
that's amazing.
And I'm like, what is with this?
Yeah.
Even as a child, I thought it was like odd.
I don't remember if it was Nickelodeon or what channel it was, but it was like Christian Kids Bop. And it was like these little kids, but they were singing newer lyrics to like hymns or whatever. so they're like singing Amazing Grace, but they're like, Jesus is cool. Oh yeah, he's cool. It was so weird.
Okay, there was the commercial for Zoo Books.
I remember that.
Zoo Books.
For sure.
Collect the stickers. Zoo Books. Every new animal every week.
I remember Zoo Books, and then I remember this monster that would teach you how to speak German.
Oh,
Remember that?
Muzzy. Muzzy. Oh my God. Green. A huge green thing.
Yeah, looks like he definitely speaks German.
Yeah. Was definitely conceived by like some weird German linguistics professor.
Yes.
And children learned language through Muzzy.
It's awful. It's
French. Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Muzzy. Okay.
Muzzy was great.
You know what I actually... Okay. Another commercial that I would always get would be the... those intense Nerf guns.
Oh, yeah.
Nerf guns were, for some reason, they went through a renaissance in the 90s and the early 2000s. They were just like, make a Gatling gun. No. Next, make a crossbow. No, make a sniper rifle. Like, Nerf was bold and brave back in the day.
I think the same with water guns as well.
Oh my gosh, I actually tried to purchase water guns today. Super Soaker's not a brand anymore.
I doubt it, because I remember there was a Super Soaker that was like the freaking soaker cannon or something like that, right? And you would like fill this thing with what had to be at least a 3-week supply of water. And you would pull a lever that was on top of the gun, not even the trigger. You would pull the lever, and it was like a fire hydrant was released on your chest. It was awful.
And then Super Soaker was bought out by the U.S. military.
Yeah.
For whatever.
Like, we could use this overseas.
3 weeks worth of water, and we wonder why people hate America.
Yeah,
Just like
it's the
water. Our kids have fun with it.
Yeah, we use them as jetpacks. You guys just don't drink it.
There was another one, Light Brights.
Light Bright was great.
Light Brights were fantastic.
Yeah.
Another commercial I remember was the magic markers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Those magic markers would hit me hard, man.
Yeah, man.
And then they would do the example with like, they make lines. They draw lines on paper, and then they go with the one white magic marker and then change the color. Oh my gosh.
Teaching kids that white really does change everything. I'm joking.
The other commercial that I remember... Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
The ones that I really remember are like those. I remember a lot of like board game ones with like, because they were all like, you got to get there before the time's up, because then blow! Like it was always like
urgency.
A bomb was gonna go off if you didn't make it to the finish line of this thing.
Oh my God.
And I remember that, and I remember the way that they would sell products for kids to eat. I'm very surprised that kids found them appetizing or wanted to eat them. Because, like, I don't know if you remember when those Gushers commercials where when they would eat them, they would turn into a strawberry.
Like, no.
Why in the world would I ever want to eat that?
The only commercial to ever make you feel like you should drink this, but also involve transforming, was Capri Sun.
Yeah, because you would turn into Alex Mack.
Yeah. You turn into an ethereal mercury being that like super speeded through the world.
Yeah, if you don't know who Alex Mack is, you turn into the T-1000 from Terminator 2. That's really what it is.
And it was so cool. It's like, oh my God. It was 5 Gum before 5 Gum.
That's so true. You know what else about Capri Sun that's really interesting? They would always have like just the gaw of these companies to be like, it's mystery flavor. You figure it out. Like it's like, shouldn't you be telling me what this is?
Wait,
like, no, you figure it out.
Yeah, mystery. Yeah. Mystery flavor, like the Dum-Dums, the one wrapped in like, okay, first of all mystery flavor tastes the same.
Yeah, they all taste like butt.
Yeah. It's like, we have a surplus of this weird clear liquid.
Yeah, that somehow tastes like butt. It's mystery. They'll figure it out.
Oh, you know what commercial I loved as a kid?
What?
Brisk iced tea commercial.
Oh my gosh.
The skeleton.
Explain it again. Oh yes, the skeleton.
The skeleton that would had a snow cap on and boots. And then it'd go into like a gas station in the desert, and then the people would be like, "Oh my God, a skeleton!" And then it'd reach its hand into the fridge, get some brisk iced tea, drink it, and then it'd cool up and become a snowman.
Oh my gosh!
And then it'd put back its nose back on.
I remember that, and I definitely remember a Brisk commercial that was in claymation, where they basically did like a 30-second Rocky trailer, and it had Sylvester Stallone in it, and but claymation Sylvester Stallone, and he's like, "I can't do it, Adrian," and she's like, "You're gonna get killed, Rock," and not if I have this Brisk, and then
I remember that. Oh my God! Yeah, he'd drink it, and then you see Sylvester Stallone, glug glug glug,
and then he just punches out the Russian.
Yeah.
Rocky
Oh
IV.
yeah! Oh
Yeah.
my gosh!
Crazy.
I have not visited that image in so long.
You're welcome.
I don't like. It's almost like uncovering trauma, you know. But I don't mean to take that away from actual people that. But it's like, oh my gosh, that did happen.
Yeah, it's reverse because
reverse.
because you're like, oh, it's good that I remember this. I get
reverse. What's reverse trauma? Like a memory I want to revisit?
Yeah.
I
think it's nostalgia.
There you go. Is that it?
Yeah.
You know, I finally got cable like 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
Or summer of 5th probably.
Did you by any chance, because it seems like this was common, did you not have cable but your grandparents did?
Okay. Interestingly enough, my grandparent didn't have cable for a very long time. Well, actually, both my grandparents didn't have cable for a very long time. Everyone in my family was hell-bent on me not watching all the great cartoons.
Sure.
Like, you mentioned some cartoons that I would have caught if I had, like, that Saturday morning lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I do miss a Saturday morning lineup. I don't think that's a very common occurrence nowadays for children's cartooning.
No.
Especially with how, like, media that children are consuming is shaping. It's just the recommend bar on YouTube.
Yeah, it's YouTube, and I feel like the last time I saw Nickelodeon in the morning, it was just SpongeBob, like wall to wall.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah. The first grandparent to get cable was on my dad's side.
Okay.
She got cable when I was like in 4th grade or something like that, and I wanted to go over to her house all the time.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a selfish kid that has no fully developed brain, so of course I'm like, I want, gimme, you know? And I was watching all these cartoons, and I remember I was just like, they had a Florida room in her house, and that had TV. And on that TV, I'd watch the Beetlejuice cartoon.
Yeah, I remember
Beetlejuice
that.
cartoon.
Completely different from the actual movie.
Yeah. A pup named Scooby-Doo.
That's a great show.
I'd catch that. I'd catch the very cool, I barely remember, but the very cool Cartoon Network shorts program.
Okay.
Where they would pilot shorts.
Yeah.
That's actually that's where you could find the very first episode of Family Guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Like, Seth MacFarlane used to be a writer for Johnny Bravo.
Yeah. We talked about that.
Yeah, and Cartoon Network, which, by the way, Cartoon Network was revolutionary at the time.
Yeah, it was the Renaissance for them.
Yeah, they were revolutionary, and they did a whole slew of very interesting and groundbreaking things in terms of like animation. And one of them was like their cartoons.
Yeah.
And that's where you could see like a very early short for Family Guy. And it's like it's an episode where Brian is being picked out by Peter at a dog pound.
Interesting. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It definitely seems like something that either Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon would be fighting for, because it seems, as you're describing it, I don't remember that show, but I remember a similar show called Kablam.
Kablam.
You remember that show?
Hell yeah, I remember that show.
The majority of what I remember from that show is there was a superhero that was always naked and they would flush him down the toilet.
Actually, you're getting it mixed up. there was the French guy is the one that they flushed down the toilet, and and then the one that was always naked was the buff blonde one.
Right.
So yeah, Kablam had the two hosts, which were like 2D.
Yeah.
And then like Kablam was like multimedia, multi-technical, like variety show.
Pretty revolutionary kind of like variety show for cartoons. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was the claymation, the one with the alien, the monkey, and the Neanderthal.
Yep, I remember that. Holy cow.
Yeah, and then there was something son of Spartacus.
Yeah.
Or son of Hercules.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like Hercules had a son, and the son was modern, but the dad was Hercules. So he was still like a Greek demigod.
Holy cow.
And then like every time like he'd offend his son or he'd transgress in some way, Hercules would offer up his eye to his son as an apology. And the son's like, dude, just chill, dad, chill. And then the one that you're talking about was there was a chief.
You're right.
Which was the Danny Glover character who would dispatch the heroes. And then you also had the stinky French guy his specialty was diving.
The stinky French guy. Oh my gosh, yes.
His specialty was going into the toilet and like whatever happened there. And then there was a strong guy, but he was super dumb.
Yeah.
And he'd always hurt the chief with his antics. And then there was the blonde woman, like the blonde doll.
Right.
That she could fly and had like some sort of super strength or whatever.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that show was amazing. That show was really good.
Yeah, I actually remember, long after, but when Adult Swim came out, the first episode that I ever saw of Robot Chicken, I was like, man, this really reminds me of Kablam. And it's like one of the reasons why I really liked it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, at first I actually thought it was like a kid's show. But then I was noticing, all the adult references and things like that. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of this show before. And then, it's really, I guess it was Robot Chicken before Robot Chicken. I guess that kind of animation.
No, definitely, because it was skits.
Yeah.
It was short form, like animation, and presented by like two hosts.
Yeah.
So, it could... It definitely, and one of the hosts was the girl with green hair.
I remember.
And then it was like the dude with like the dark skin and the blue hair, and like the girl with like the green hair was always like, the dude with the blue hair was always the butt of the joke,
right?
And like she was always like, she was like the Bugs Bunny where she was one step ahead, like, and like they'd always mess with the dude with the blue hair, but yeah, Kablam.
That show, man. What other Nickelodeon shows were you into?
Okay, so when Nickelodeon had their Slam block, okay. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember, dude. I remember almost everything from Nickelodeon. Like I remember Gas. I remember freaking The Big Help. I remember all of it, but I don't remember Nickelodeon Slam.
So it was like that was the block where they would group Invader Zim with like 2 or 3 other shows.
Sure.
Yeah, like Invader Zim had its own slot like every Friday, but then they transitioned it to like a kind of like almost prime time after school block.
Okay.
And Slam was the name of it. And Slam was where you could also see the revival of Speed Racer, the Speed Racer anime, the new one. And so back in the day, I really liked Invader Zim. I also really liked what's this thing called? Oh my gosh, Kablam was another one. Then SpongeBob, of course, and then Ugly Monsters was another. Oh,
All Real Monsters.
Yeah, All Real Monsters. There you go.
And then what else was during that era? There was Hey Arnold. Was Doug. There was Rugrats.
Rugrats. As Told by Ginger came later, but As Told by Ginger I loved it so much.
Really, I didn't like it.
That's fair. I understand why.
Yeah.
Like As Told by Ginger, the pacing was really slow. Like the story was like it was too grounded for what like Nickelodeon had set itself up for.
Sure.
And like, sure, it was like presented as the Teen Nick block.
It was, yeah.
But like, it's like people can get around the Brothers Garcia,
sure,
like a little bit easier than like As Told by Ginger, because As Told by Ginger is like also like very about girlhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, you know, I remember watching it myself and just being like, this is so good. And like, I'd try and tell my friends about As Told by a Ginger and be like, this is a girl show. I mean, not to say that, but like, I can understand how like someone can't relate.
Though. Yeah, it is though.
Yeah.
And that's fine. The 100%, the reason why I didn't like it, it's kind of a dumb reason, because people that love the style of animation that I'm going to say that I don't like, it's not a knock against that, but it reminded me a lot of the animation of the Wild Thornberrys, and I just never liked the animation behind that show. It would it would actually give me a headache, like watching it,
because so
it's like a weird. Everyone just looks different and like weird, and I don't know. It was fine with Rugrats because it was a Class B Shadow kind of a thing. Yeah. So I was fine with Rugrats. I was fine with them looking weird. I was fine with even Rocket Power, but there was something about, and also like the family of Ginger's family looked like they were like cousins from like Eliza Thornberry, you know, like that's just 100% what they look like.
So a lot of the character design mixed with whatever like stylistic choices with animation they did.
Yeah, that's pretty much almost 100% the reason why I didn't like it, which is funny because all the other shows that I loved, I can't really, other than the ones that they've since released on DVD, I can't really tell you a joke from those shows. I just liked them because I liked watching it. Yeah. You know, like it was satisfying.
Yeah. You know, one, what's it called? I remember early Rugrats was like almost like it was purposefully ugly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of elongated limbs, like weird angles, and like
it's a very Class B Shadow kind of a thing.
Yeah, and then like a lot of the outlines weren't consistent from frame to frame, and like it really helped give it hone in on that like the story aesthetic of it, like these children going through this weird world. And then, you know, later on, because of like, you know, I would imagine because of like notoriety of the show, but also like animation techniques getting better. Yeah. And like, you know, they finally developed an audience. They finally like, you know, gave it a new spick and spam, gave it some spackle, gave it a facelift.
I mean, the same thing with The Simpsons.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
The Simpsons, when The Simpsons first came out, that was like ugly animation at its finest. Yeah. You know, in fact, the reason why they're yellow is supposed to be a joke. I don't know if you know this.
No, I don't.
The reason why they're yellow is because you remember on old TV sets, like tube TV sets, you'd have to change the color to make everything look like it was lit correctly. Yeah. The joke was, the reason why they were yellow and everything looked weird was because they wanted you to constantly be doing that to your television and it never changing to the actual color it was supposed to be. So that was the joke. That's why they're yellow.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Like everything they did is a joke. Like even the theme song, the do 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 do. That's actually a scale like this. Like I want to say like a what Christians back then would call a demonic music
tritone
scale.
Yeah.
And so that's quite literally why they wrote that exactly like that, because they wanted it to be a joke. so quite literally everything in The Simpsons is a joke.
Oh god, that's that type of attention to detail that like I really do miss with some things. Yeah. I don't want to speak to cartoons or cartooning nowadays.
Of course.
Because there's still like there's really good stuff out now.
Of course.
But then some of it's also like okay, this is a cash grab. Yeah. Yeah, like Johnny Test, cash grab.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
You don't need to. It's flash animation. It's cheaply produced, and they make 1 million of them. And every episode is not engaging in any way. But like things like Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is brilliant.
Dude, that show is really freaking funny.
It's so funny, but it also presents these like adult references and concepts for children in such a way, and it's like it builds upon itself, and the whole world that it has respects its rules, and it's so deep and rich. Yeah. Also, it just looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I agree. Like I've actually been watching it I started watching it like last month, and since then I've just been blown away. Like it's inspired me to want to write a cartoon. Like I want to write a cartoon because the animation, I've always loved it. By the way, I've always been a Cartoon Network person.
Yeah, me too.
Like if you like, you know how people are like Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo. I'm like Cartoon Network for me, all the way.
That's a little bit tough. Like I don't know if I would ever fight for a specific team because I liked all of them, even the Disney animation. Like I liked all of it. However, going back to like Disney Channel shows, now you really realize that you really just like the theme song.
Yeah,
and
really.
Not the show itself. Because the theme songs were awesome.
Well,
you know?
I remember the Sister theme song was amazing.
Yeah.
Smart Guy had a good theme because he's a smart guy.
Smart guy. All of those went to the Disney Channel, but they were actually originally ABC shows.
Oh, really? Okay.
So Disney animation, like for example, DuckTales, woo, like all those kind of shows, or what's another one? There was some song that we talked about it on your podcast where it almost sounded like Boyz II Men did the theme song to all of their shows. Because it's just like, what in the world? Why is this so soulful?
Was it the Bears? The one with the bear?
Gummy bears, dancing here and there and everywhere.
And then there was also like the Proud Family. That theme song was sung by Solange.
Was it? Holy cow.
Yeah, that theme song was sung by Solange. Proud Family. Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah. No, it is amazing.
Pre-fighting an elevator Solange.
Yeah, pre-fighting.
That's amazing.
Pre-Master P Solange.
And didn't Master P have a show too? Is it Master P his son is Little Romeo?
I can't say.
I want to say that that's what it is. And they had a show on Nickelodeon called Romeo.
Oh yeah, Romeo had a show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Victoria Jackson was the maid, the token white lady who happened to be the maid.
Yeah, Romeo had a show.
Nickelodeon.
Oh my gosh.
This is also another thing for me too. Nickelodeon is really special in my life because there's a lot of people from the live action show I knew personally. I knew Victoria Jackson growing up because her daughter went to my school. And what's it called? That's believe it or not, that's actually how I found out about Saturday Night Live. I didn't know it was a thing until like, oh, she was on Saturday Night Live, and adults seem to think that that's a really big deal. So why don't I just look at this? Then it was like, oh, it's all that with grown-ups. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you know? It's all that with grown-ups.
And it's actually funny.
Yeah.
You know, they're not screaming over each other like children do during sketches. Yeah. And so and then in my graduating class, Bobby Gonzalez, who was on The Brothers Garcia, was in my class. We did a lot of plays and stuff together, school plays together. But yeah, so it's really interesting. I see Nickelodeon as
it's a very close extension of you.
It's a close extension of who I am. So like, I guess if I was forced to fight, I'd have to fight for Nickelodeon just because it's like part of my life, I guess, in a weird way. But I love all of it. What about now? Are you when did you make the crossover to Adult Swim?
To Adult Swim, I used to. So that actually happened in middle school.
You seem like a Toonami guy as well.
No, yeah, because the after school block, it was dominated by Cartoon Network.
Oh yeah, that's 100% true.
Like after school, you tuned into Cartoon Network because
that was like the Dexter's Lab and Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, all that stuff.
And then they created Toonami like sometime in my middle school years, and then that's where you went because anime at the time like was a novelty. Yeah, like in the 90s, it was kind of like a novelty. In the early 2000s, started picking up traction. And no one was picking it up except Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. So then Cartoon Network was like, oh, well, we have all these like more friendlier ones. Let's put them after school. Yeah. And then that's when the Toonami block was born. And And yeah, like I love Toonami and the whole aesthetic of it.
So it's tough. It's tough now for me to like Adult Swim shows because a lot of the shows scare me. But but is there anything from Adult Swim that you're like, oh man, like that's really funny or that's a good one? Or
A really good one is Apollo Gauntlet. It's also easier to get into.
Okay. What is that about?
So it's about this guy, like this cop from like a different dimension, like our dimension, and like something happens where he thwarts like this scientist who accidentally like sends himself and like this cop Apollo into like a different dimension, and Apollo gets this gauntlet that talks to him, and he's like fighting and he's like the hero for that dimension, and he's like fighting like all these and like it's set in like a Conan the Barbarian-esque type of setting, and he's like fighting all these monsters and villains with like wrestling moves and then like finessing them and like making jokes and cracking wise while doing it.
Yeah.
And then like the crux of the show is that like one, Apollo wants to go back home, but he's also really selfish, and like he lets a lot of his own personal feelings towards things get in the way of like the greater, bigger picture. So like that constant struggle, or like that dramatic foil is one. It's funny. It's really interesting. You can't go wrong with Rick and Morty.
Of course.
Just don't let it run your life.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think the show is very smart. I think it's very funny. Huge fan of Dan Harmon since Community.
Yeah.
Even before then, before I knew it was a Dan Harmon
like with Channel
thing.
101 and stuff.
Yeah, Channel 101 and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm not a, Szechuan sauce or die kind of person.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, look, it's a thing from Mulan, cool. Like, that's,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that, what's really funny is I'm pretty sure that all those writers are the same way. Like, they're like, I mean, it's a joke, but I wouldn't let it run my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know people were that starved for nihilism.
Right,
like
that is very true.
I was like, you could read any book.
Yeah.
like if you want nihilism, there's a library. Hanna-Barbera cartoons were another thing I really liked.
Oh my gosh.
Because I had Boomerang whenever I would go to Nicaragua over the summer.
Nice.
I had Boomerang because cable was cheaper there.
Yeah.
And then I'd see all these cartoons, Space Ghost, Birdman. By the way, Harvey Birdman, another great
so good.
Adult Swim one. The Galaxy Trio, the Herculoids, Huckleberry Finn, Tomcat, Wacky Races. I'd see all these Hanna-Barbera
so
cartoons. Like in Spanish in Nicaragua, and
In Spanish, holy
and I was so enamored by it.
Barney, me pebbles.
Yeah. And
Oh, Fred.
Muttley.
Is that what it sounded like? Oh,
No,
Fred.
Yeah. Oye, Fred, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
Yo estoy. Yeah.
Yabba dabba doo.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was so good watching those cartoons, and then seeing them repurposed in Adult Swim was so trippy.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say seeing them repurposed in the Jetsons, because they are. It's the Flintstones in the future. That's all it is.
Oh, I mean, the Honeymooners is just Flintstones.
That's very true.
The Simpsons is just Flintstones. Family Guy is just Flintstones, and the Jetsons are just.
Dude, it's so funny. There's an episode. Ironically, there's an episode of The Simpsons about this.
Yeah,
where they're trying to this homeless man sues Itchy and Scratchy and all this stuff because he had the idea first. And one of the things that the guy says is, you wouldn't have the Flintstones without the Honeymooners. You wouldn't have, ideas run vampant. Like everyone has an idea. It's just what you do with that thing.
Yeah, it's like the.
But yeah, I remember him saying that and then hearing that for the first time, and I was like, huh, I guess it really is. And then I started thinking about every single show. I like to call them fat guy, hot wife shows.
Yeah.
Because, King of Queens. Shows like that where it's like fat guy, hot wife. Like, it's just those shows. Those are all the Honeymooners. Yeah. Every single one of them.
Yeah. That's all it is. It's like the concept when that concept that you're describing rang true for me in my high school English class, where my teacher said all books are just stacking on top of each other.
Yeah.
there's no original idea, just reforming and like changing up the themes here and there, but like every book is the same. Like it's all part of the same canon.
Yeah, it's all the same Flo Rida song.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all the same Pitbull song.
Yeah.
Any 80s song you've ever liked has been remixed by Flo Rida, guaranteed. There's a comedian that has a really funny joke about that, where he's like, I want to say it's Kyle Cease that says this, but he's like, listening to Flo Rida is like listening to your favorite 80s song with an annoying friend in the car. It's just like, I've had the time of my life. I want to kill you. Like, hey, can you shut up for a second? I'm trying to listen to this song.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, speaking of music, since we're already talking about it, what kind of music did you like growing up?
Okay, so growing up, I actually did not like music.
Okay.
Like a lot of my like elementary, like when I was in elementary, I didn't. Well, let me put it this way:
Sure.
I liked the idea of not liking music. So then I sold myself on that.
Yeah.
Reason being is because in middle school, like at least the culture in my middle school, Shenandoah Middle, it was divided by rappers and rockers.
Sure,
Like
I remember
just the
that.
those are the only two groups.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be a part of those groups. Because, like, me as an adult now reflecting back, I'm like, I actually like a lot of the stuff here and a lot of stuff there. Why can't we just, hey, guys, if we just...
I did the same thing, except I liked it. Because I've always been weird in that I liked everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of people didn't know how to describe me because they're like, you're wearing black skinny jeans, but you're wearing an American Eagle t-shirt and it's tucked in. So I don't really know what you are.
Yeah. The other thing is that, like, I was put on to older music when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So then, like, well, where do I go if I like Frank Sinatra? Frank who?
Yeah.
I was put on to that stuff, and then like and then like it's the early 2000s, and like my brother grew up in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. So like I'm not only getting like 90s and 2000s rap, but I was also getting like the stuff from the 80s and 90s. So
yeah.
like I had I liked a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, where do I go?
I have a very unpopular opinion about 90s music, and it's that it is so overrated. It's just not that good. It really isn't. Like, I'm not saying that there weren't good songs, and because there were, and there were a lot of things, but it's I go back to I recently just saw the historical roasts with Jeff Ross.
Oh yeah.
And Nikki Glaser plays Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she says is, the only thing my band has done is made people think Pearl Jam is cool. And that's 100%. Like, without Nirvana, you really got nothing. And honestly, Nirvana's not all that great, like Nirvana, like the Foo Fighters are better, in my opinion.
So this
is my opinion, and I might be wrong.
So you're saying that the best thing that happened to Dave Grohl is Kurt Cobain killing himself? That's
not what I'm saying.
Are you sure?
I'm saying that that's the best that he could have done from a bad situation. Because I'm sure Nirvana would have been perfectly fine, and Kurt Cobain would have been selling Christmas albums at Starbucks just like everyone else,
I mean, he should have gotten off his high horse.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we want you to play Teen Spirit, dude.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Well, it's weird because I don't really know. The more that guy fascinates me because It's just like he fascinates me more than the band, more than like all of that. Just because like I don't know how you feel, because there's certain interviews where he wanted to be the biggest band in the world, but also he didn't want to be a celebrity. Yeah. And so it's like, well, you can't have one without the other. Yeah. Like, that's just what it is. And with being a celebrity, especially a celebrity whose name is at the tip of everyone's lips all the time, you're going to have a higher percentage of people that only know you for one song. Yeah. That's just what it is.
It's numbers. Like
for honestly, us, we're really big Donald Glover fans. Yeah. when we went and we saw him at that show that we didn't realize we were at together, we knew that there was half of that crowd was just girls wanting to hear him sing Heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know?
And he he delivered.
And he did. He sang it, but at the same time, we were there because we wanted to hear
Cul-de-sac.
We wanted to hear
camp.
Exactly.
I also
play,
was like,
play
sweet.
I Don't Talk, I'm Just a Rapper. Like, what's that? The first mixtape ever where he recorded it in a bathroom. That one. That's what I want to hear right now. You know?
Why is Danny Brown done?
Yeah. But yeah, so.
Yeah, like, I think a lot of, like, so I think Questlove was talking about this recently. Like, so 70s and 90s, for example, had a very clear, defined, like, sonic aesthetic.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, like very clearly defined sonic aesthetic. Like, you know what 70s music sounds like, you know what 80s music sound like. And like the 80s broke the conventions of like 70s, but you know, they established their own rules very quickly.
Yeah.
90s, because of like recording technology, the advent of like better computers and like people like, you know, releasing stuff, like it was just at the beginning. Rules were being shattered from the 80s in ways that people weren't expecting. So there was like a lot of wild ways to like produce music.
Yeah.
And like, not only that, people were being exposed to more music. And like, it wasn't until the 2000s where things started smoothing over. Like the 90s had definitely a lot of wrinkles. Like you had like, and like 90s going into the 2000s, you had like these, there was always like a new like it music trend. Like,
yeah.
Like twee, you know, like if anyone remembers that.
I don't.
Twee was like defined by like, it was like what indie rock was before it was indie rock.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like very like talk singy. It was like very, it was like very upbeat, sad songs, stuff like that. You know, like
Beck.
Yeah, like Beck, but without like the real control, like without Beck.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean.
Yeah, like it was like Beck, but without like Beck's like just, you know, it factor.
For me, I just see the 90s as like it was either butt rock or boy bands.
Yeah.
Like that's like basically, and granted, you know, I call it butt rock, but there were good grunge bands. There were great rock and roll bands that came out in the 90s. Like Nirvana, you know, many, but majority of what everyone remembers in the pop scene is just like boy bands and like, you know, these are boy bands that are also basketball players and like, you know, all that stuff. Like, and that's another thing too. I don't know if you know, my listeners know this, but you might not know this about me. I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, so I listened to Christian music mostly, especially in the 90s. I was listening to only Christian music. What I realized later after college was that Christian music was about 5 to 10 years behind. So the 80s hit really well in 1999 for Christian music. So like that's when like everyone was bringing out the 808s and the Casios and like all that stuff. And then maybe like around like 98, 99, Jesus Freak came out. And that was like the real big rock and roll anthem, which, by the way, is just Smells Like Teen Spirit. Sorry to break your heart, Christians. That's what it is. It is straight up the same riff. That's what it is. But yeah, and like, yeah, that band basically... They were a great band. They were I would consider them the Beatles of Christian music because they broke a lot of things in Christian music, but just not in like real life, you know.
In Christian life, but not in real life.
Yeah.
Not in the real world where we all care about actual things.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so a lot of what I listen to, and that's another thing too, man. I don't know. Did you ever watch? There's this episode of South Park called Christian rock music or something, and it's when Cartman wants to start a Christian band.
Yeah, he wants to start one to make money.
He starts a band called Faith Plus One. Right now, a lot of people wouldn't know this, but I do because I was a weird Christian little Christian boy. There was a band, a boy band called Plus One, And that's who they're making fun of. They're making fun of this boy band called Plus One, who had a song called Written on My Heart, dance moves and all. You know, they had all that stuff. The music video is them dancing in an apartment, in an empty apartment in New York, and then throwing headphones to girls outside of the apartment. That's another thing about Christian music videos. It's mostly men in empty rooms, and the women are miles away. But yeah, anyway, all that to say, you basically hated music until when?
Until like honestly, until I got my first iPod, which was in middle school, like 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
Now that I could,
did it come with the U2 album in it?
No.
Who's this? I'd think for someone who doesn't like music or had listened to it would be like, who's this? You know?
U2 probably, I don't think that should be anyone's like first introduction to like.
Of course not. Nor should an album be on your phone without you asking for it.
Yeah. What a weird time that was. Yeah. People were really mad.
Yeah.
When I got my iPod, eighth grade, going into, I started developing my own taste. Mm-hmm. Like now that I had like a place to store it, and like, because you know, like I didn't have a means to like explore like the music. Yeah. You know, I would just like hear snippets or like the radio, and it'd be like, okay, that's the only time I'll get music. But then once I got the iPod, I was like, okay, time to put some music in this. And then, you know, obviously the LimeWire, the FrostWire, and all that stuff. Right. But my first like real like favorite type of music was Japanese pop and Japanese rock music.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that comes from like the anime being more accessible in the 2000s.
Yeah, like
bands like Overworld, Asian Kung Fu Generation. Yeah, which is Asian Kung Fu Generation is the biggest indie band in Japan. Mm-hmm. Like they were for a minute. They're almost like
they're like Radiohead.
Yeah. like pretty much like they're Japan's Radiohead.
Yeah, play OK Computer.
Thom Yorke just really angrily looking at you with his lazy eyes.
Yeah, like I'm not playing Creep. You want to hear Creep? Watch The Social Network.
You know, thinking back on like the sonic aesthetic of like J-rock and all that stuff. Yeah. So a lot of stuff that happens in Japan is like they take from the West, and they're like, how can we make this Japanese? Mm-hmm. Like rockabilly, for example. Rockabilly is really big in Japan. Like really? There's a subculture for rockabilly.
How funny is that? It feels like such an American thing.
Yeah, it's definitely an American thing, but like it's big in Japan. Another thing
is there's just Japanese people with like suspenders and bow ties on.
Yeah, suspenders, bow ties, and pompadours.
Yeah,
and they
go. Their only mode of transportation is that thing with like the seesaw wheel, like
that cart that you use on the train tracks.
Yeah,
like after the train blew up.
Forgive my ignorance, rockabilly people, for not knowing what it's called.
There's also like jean. Jeans are an American invention. Okay, but like Japan is famous for them.
Right.
So I don't know the clear connection or through line, but I could imagine rock. Oh, rock music's also an American invention. Mm-hmm. So like I would imagine that like rock or like indie rock, grown in an insulated environment like Japan. You know, like what I mean by that is like just within itself. Yeah. I could totally see how like they could totally evolve to like, oh, we're actually just kind of like different versions of Linkin Park.
Yeah, pretty much.
They were a force back in the day. Like in middle school, like every rocker loved them.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I love them as well, is because they were the only band really that I remember being in school, being a kid that likes all kinds of different styles, where it's like the hip hop heads liked Linkin Park and the rockers liked Linkin Park. Everyone liked them. Especially 6th graders and 7th graders that like
were just going through shit.
Yeah, that had so much to be mad about. You know, like it just starts with one. You know. Yeah. It just. Did you ever get into like hip hop and things like that?
Oh yeah, hip hop is like currently right now hip hop is my favorite type of music.
Sure.
And like I got into hip hop because like I got like a music dump from a friend. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, hey, my older brother's got all this music and you have an iPod, here you go. And he sent it to me. and I was like, oh my gosh, what's all this stuff? And that's
Yeah.
the first time I heard A Tribe Called Quest. That's the first time I heard Common.
Yeah.
And then like from that point, like in high school, I was going on blogs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was doing the whole like SoundCloud thing. I hate saying it this way, but I was doing the whole SoundCloud thing before like SoundCloud was a thing.
Yeah.
I was going on music blogs. I was like hitting up like Fader before they were a bigger publication, or Fader, Pitchfork, all those like sites. I forget when they started, but like I was hitting up those publications.
Yeah.
I was going on MySpace to find new music.
Yeah.
And like from like listening to A Tribe Called Quest for the first time,
I was gonna say that there's like a hipster somewhere that's like, man, I listen to stuff on Pure Volume. I'm much cooler than you. Like, nobody remembers Pure Volume.
Oh, well, to him, I'll say Blender.
Yeah. Or mp3.com. Or Kazaa.
But yeah, no, I was doing that, and like that's when I started like getting really into rap music, and then MySpace was also a thing.
Yeah.
So then I was getting into like the rappers that were trying to get big on MySpace, like the Cool Kids, for example.
Yeah.
Like I remember listening to the Cool Kids, and I was like, "This is so cool!"
Right.
Just being blown away.
Sure.
And then I started softening, like when you're younger, you think you know what's real, and you think you know it's like smart and cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Lil Wayne is dumb, or Lil Jon is dumb. But now as an adult, I'm like, these are amazing artists.
Sure.
Like, why wasn't I listening to them before? Like, Snap music is amazing. Hyphy is great. Like,
well, to me, to bring it to the rock world a little bit, that's kind of like how a lot of people are anti-Nickelback. You know, which is a very like McDonald's, like anti-McDonald's phrasing.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, I don't like Nickelback. Nickelback sucks. Do they really though? Because they're making platinum albums. If they suck, they wouldn't be a band anymore.
I had this conversation with a friend. He's like, it's a joke. It's an internet joke.
Of course.
It's kind of like, people that hate pineapple on pizza. We weren't talking about this years ago.
Yeah.
We're just doing it now because more people are talking about it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't know how we got to it, but we're talking about Nickelback. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Nickelback sucks. And I'm like, let's play some music.
Yeah.
And I played some Nickelback songs, and I'm like, wow, this is just hits perfectly in the middle.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't have to, like, it's not offensive.
Look, that's 100% true. That's what it is. It's not offensive enough to be great, and it's not horrible enough to be bad. It's just there.
Yeah, it's just there. And,
which is fine. Some people just like turning their brain off and listening to Nickelback. In fact, enough for them to be platinum.
Patton Oswalt has a joke about Nickelback.
Yeah.
About how he's like, Nickelback, they just want pussy and money.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yes, but let me remind you, people have done worse things for pussy and money.
Yep.
So,
and if all they're going to do is go,
like,
burn. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's very true. So this next bit, usually what I like to do is I like to review a breakfast cereal with my guest, because breakfast cereal was really important when we were kids.
Yeah.
What was your favorite when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, I had very fond memories of you're probably gonna Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran? I don't have Raisin Bran for you, but I have. I didn't get your favorite, but I do like to review cereals that I feel have a lot to do with who my guest is as a person.
Okay.
So for you, what I have chosen is Funko brand Mega Man cereal. So, because you were talking about Mega Man and how much you liked it and things like that, it is. I usually always do this bit as well. I talked to my sponsors at Funko, and by sponsors I mean I like them, and by talk to I mean I tweeted them repeatedly until they made this product, and they were making it anyway, so I just bought it. Today we're gonna take a bite into Mega Man cereal.
Okay.
So
first thing that strikes me is the color.
Yeah.
Like the color is very good, very
blue.
good blue.
Yeah.
It's an electric blue.
Uh-huh.
electric blue, every bit of cereal, every corn. What's the base? Corn.
I'm assuming.
Or
I think
wheat,
it's multigrain. Yeah.
Multigrain.
Yeah.
Is coated in the blue very evenly. So already nice. I'm actually very excited to see how the milk looks. Or we're doing milkless.
We're doing milkless right now.
Okay.
But I will guarantee you, it'll show up in your poop. So.
Okay. Cool. I like that.
And for these weird ASMR people, I'm gonna go ahead and pour some into my Reptar cereal bowl. There we go.
All right. I also want to comment on your bag opening technique. You don't make a little slot. You just open the whole mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that bad or?
That's not my preferred way, but.
Because you never know, man. Also, it comes with a toy, so there you go.
Oh, sweet. It's a tiny... This is actually a very good... See, I hate Funkos.
Sure.
I hate Funkos, but a free Funko that I wasn't expecting, I'll take.
There you go.
Also, it's actually... Why is the toy version more solid than their actual real toy product?
I'm not sure. But yeah, these are Mega Man cereal. Now, we could review this like a regular review. Like, these look blue, they taste like this, they taste like that. However, I think what would be more fun would be for you to review these as Mega Man.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play some music from Mega Man. And you can go ahead, take a bite, do whatever you'd like, and review for our audience what this cereal is like to you in whatever you think Mega Man sounds like, because I'm not sure if he ever even spoke.
Actually, I was just about to say, Mega Man has never spoken.
Yeah, so there you go. He sounds however you want him to sound.
Actually, in Mega Man 8, the video game for the PS1, he actually spoke. So I have a reference for his voice.
There you go. Whenever you're ready. You can obviously, you can take a bite first and solve the little puzzle behind the box if you want.
Dr. Wily did not get these great Mega Man Funko O's. Perfectly coated in a honey or sweetener. I'm losing the voice.
It's fine. We've never heard him speak.
Actually, this is what Mega Man sounds like.
Yeah.
The sweetener around the multi-grain based kernel is very nice. Not one that you'd probably find in any other cereal. The blue taste. So, looking at the ingredients, we're looking at, what was it? Blue 1.
Blue is number 1.
Yeah. Blue 1. I'm partial to Blue 52, but, you know. It's not reflective of my true color, but we'll do it. If for fans of my show, my show and my video game, this is like when I got the ice power from Iceman in Mega Man 8. Think that blue. Does not stain the fingers. Good for a baby. You know how some parents like to put a couple of Cheerio kernels in front of them. This is good. Does not stain. I will say though that the cereal bits themselves are very weighty and hearty. Good crunch to them. Good mouthfeel. I would say Funko's knocking it out the park with my brand. I will say though, the puzzle does not reflect the puzzle in the back. A big part of breakfast cereals, as I understand, is the puzzle in the back, or the fun knickknacks and games that you can engage in. And it's a very simple puzzle. Does not speak to Mega Man exactly. The only The only character signifier is the blue, which is very weak on Funko's part. As far as nutrition, 4% for your daily fiber. Calcium is fairly strong and iron's fairly strong. And overall, I'd give this cereal a 7 out of 10.
Mega Man, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. That was wild. Never thought that Mega Man would be so picky about puzzles in the back of a cereal box, but...
Hey man, long gone are the days where like you had a puzzle, you had a word find, you had a match section, all in the back of your box.
Yeah.
All right, this is a simple...
That's true. You had to buy 3 boxes of cereal to get the answers. So, when did you get into comedy?
Okay, so the very first time I ever did comedy was actually in high school.
Okay.
There was a male beauty pageant called the Mr. Miami High pageant. Mm-hmm. And...
That was your talent?
Yeah, that was my talent. That's one guy did a monologue, another guy sang a song, I'll tell you a story about that. So I did comedy. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I ever did comedy in front of a crowd. And, I did really well. I really rocked the house. Mm-hmm. And I made a song about Usher's song at the time, There Goes My Baby, mm-hmm. where I made a joke that, in that song, he never says, there goes my baby, she's going into our shared home. Right. She's, there goes my baby, she's picking up groceries for us. It's always just there goes my baby. Never signifying that they're together.
Right.
So then my joke was that's actually a song about a stalker.
Right.
All right. Usher never said, there goes my baby. She's coming back from the grocery store to our house. There goes my baby. She's coming from getting medicine at the pharmacy. It's always there goes my baby. And then the guy right after me, his talent was singing that song.
That's amazing.
So then people called...
So it just made your act better.
It made my act better, and people yelled at him stalker.
That's amazing.
And he could not finish the song. He had to cancel that part of his that portion of his thing early.
That's amazing.
And it was so hilarious to me, but I was like, "Oh my god. I didn't know
That's
he was
what you get for beating me in the swimsuit competition."
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was the first time I did comedy, but so what made me want to do comedy was a high school teacher who I said I don't know, I think I want to do comedy, and then she's like, yeah, you should be a stand-up comic. Yeah. Which is not any advice any high school teacher should give any student.
Sure, of course
but
not.
She told me
a lot of darkness.
She told me, yeah, you can be a stand-up comic, you should do it. And at that point I'd never thought of it as an actual career, or so that's what made me want to do stand-up comedy or pursue it. It was just oh yeah, that sounds I thought about it, and since from that night I was stand-up comedy, because I liked comedy a lot. I started watching Comedy Central Presents in middle school. Yeah. I remember asking my dad if I could watch stand-up comedy, and he's mm-hmm. Yeah, seems harmless. Yeah. And then he let me watch it, and then that was my first time doing stand-up, and then I went to school in Massachusetts, and then I auditioned to be the host or to perform stand-up at for the Black Student Union for their event that they had. Okay. And I got in because only 2 people auditioned. Yeah. Me and this other girl. And then I came back from school, and I had my very first open mic at the Miami Improv. And I put it out on Facebook, and the first time you ever do the New Faces show mm-hmm. on for your first time doing comedy, you're gonna pack out the house. Yeah. The second time, no. But a bunch of people from my high school who remembered me from the pageant were like, "Oh snap, I liked it when you did it in high school."
I hope he does that Usher bit.
I did. You had to give the crowd what they wanted. But yeah, that was my that was the first time I got into comedy, and that's what really propelled me to comedy. Just thinking for the first time, I could do this as a thing. Yeah. Yeah. And
who were some of your favorites when you were like when you were watching those Comedy Central presents, you were, who were the guys where you were like, oh man, like I would like to emulate that kind of a style or
So
that guy?
the guys that I watched back, so my very first stand up anything I ever saw was very like staying up with my dad late at night, half asleep, like trying to stay up, barely watching Richard Pryor. And then what amazed me, not about like Richard Pryor, I didn't know he was amazing, but I knew he was amazing because he was making my dad laugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, my dad laughs?
Yeah.
like he was making my dad laugh with these like weird concepts. Like he was talking about like he's making jokes about blackness and being black and all that stuff. So he was making my dad laugh on this level that I just couldn't understand or couldn't fathom as a kid, no racial nuance. So I was just like, wow, but I, barely remembered it. I saw Nick Swardson.
Yeah.
That was my very first stand-up Comedy Central presents, Nick Swardson. And I died watching Nick Swardson. It was his very first Comedy Central presents. He's wearing a blue shirt and some jeans. He's also way skinnier.
Yeah. He told a story about that, and it like blew my mind, man, about how he had only been doing stand-up for like 6 months when he booked that.
Wow. No way.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He went and he did like a few mics, and then I want to say, I might be wrong, but I want to say that he started in Aspen.
Okay.
And Aspen has a really popular comedy festival that a lot of Comedy Central people go to. Comedy Central saw him, gave him a half hour, and then from there, Sandler saw him, thought he was funny, brought him onto Happy Madison. So quite literally, a lot of it happened very quickly for him.
That's insane.
But he's just one of those guys, man, where like you can kind of see that he's gonna be something immediately when you see that special.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, he looks like a guy that would be in movies and stuff. He's a funny dude. That special's great with the what's it called? That's when he was talking about Nicholas. Yeah. You're a grown man. Like, all I would do is carry a gallon of milk, and my grandma thought that I was a superhero.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean this gallon of milk?
Nicholas. Oh, you mean this gallon? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, I remember that. And ever since that Friday, I'd always tune in every Friday, and like Comedy Central was one of my like go-to channels. Yeah. And then from there, I was watching Mad TV. I was watching Crank Yankers. I was watching Comedy Blend.
Premium Blend.
Premium Blend. Yeah, there you go. That's what it. Premium Blend.
I think you're getting confused with Comic View.
Comic View. That's. Yeah.
Which is like, I think Comic View was a BET show, right?
It was a BET one. You're right.
Because like I think some of the biggest people from there were like Chris Tucker and like Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah,
people like that.
Yeah, like all the people that were known as the Kings of Comedy did that too.
Orton Friday.
Yeah, Orton Friday. Reese Witherspoon, John Witherspoon.
Yeah,
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon's up there just stamping her feet on the ground. You ever been in Legally Blonde too? I'm telling you.
And then like since like so then after high school, it's just been trying to pursue it. And the thing, like a lot of stuff happened along the way, like my dad getting sick with lung cancer, and like like me trying to get over my own personal shit, like personal shit being like the barriers you set in front of you. Mm-hmm. You're your own biggest wall. Yeah. You're like, oh, I shouldn't do that. It's like, no, you should do that. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just do it. Because, like, there's way more people that aren't as good as you that are out there, or that just create and they don't care. Yeah. Yeah, Ramon Rivas the second said this. He's like, I can be that bad. Yep. Like that concept, like, oh, if you think you're so good, then you can be as bad as the person that they are putting up. Yeah. Easy as that. Of course. And then like, I was trying to like still try and be creative while also like, my dad going through his like sickness. He passed away in like 2016. And like, I always I was always so distracted. Like I'd have girlfriends or like I'd have to deal with like family stuff, and it always felt like so unachievable to try and be a comic, but I'd always try and do it just a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah.
It's not until like this year where I'm more focused, trying to like, okay, I want to be here. This is the goal. This is what I want to do, and here's where I want to be. And like there's only so long that people telling you that you're good until you're like, maybe I should try being good.
Yeah.
As much as people tell me I am.
Yeah.
Because
there's it's funny, man. Like I don't know if it has to do with being in Miami or anything, but when I was out in LA and I was first starting out, I just had a different mentality that what I do here, and I'll share it with you. I don't know if we talked about this on your podcast, but like when I first went out there, I went out on I flew in Thanksgiving Day, and I got an agent and a manager within my first week there.
Yeah, no, we spoke about that briefly.
Which is very like, not to toot my own horn, but it's very unheard of to do that.
I would imagine
But for me, the reason why it happened is because of my mentality about it. My mentality was very like, what's the worst they can say? No, I already don't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my whole thing is like, the worst thing they can do is not give it to me, and I already don't have it.
Yeah.
So why not try?
Yeah, and like the thing, the battle I've always had personally and creatively is like, if I don't do it, I can't fail.
It's true.
Yeah, if I continue to be in this limbo of like, my peers here respect me, and like anytime I do a show I do very well, and that's all I need to like shoot the dopamine or like to make me think I'm actually achieving something, that's fine. But if I don't do it, I don't fail. And like, I don't know, I bet every comic or every entertainer or every performer has this, where it's like, am I a hack?
Yeah.
Like also there's the fear of like, I want to be at this point,
Yeah.
but what if I'm like I want to be A, but I'm actually a C.
Yeah.
And like, I'll always be a C and I'll cap out as a C.
Well, the thing is, I think it has to do with your environment. I really do. And that's coming from somebody that started in LA, because a lot of people, especially people that are in comedy now, would be like, don't start in LA because people are going to see you before you should be seen and all this stuff. For me, I loved it because it would put me on shows with people that were leaps and bounds better than me, and it made me want to be nothing but better.
Yeah.
I want to be as good as that guy, or better than that guy, or better than her, or as good as her, or whatever. And here, not that we don't have that within the community, it's that when we're performing, it's almost like we're performing for a plateau.
Yeah.
Because there's, no matter how good of a set you do, there's not much higher you can go.
Yeah.
Other than like, well, he was the funniest guy at the Globe in Miami Beach. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean like, wow, he's the funniest guy, let's definitely put him in that Adam Sandler movie. No, it's like, yeah, he's the funniest guy on a Thursday at this random place that I happen to go get papitas or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And
so
I totally see that. Like, there's only like, you can only get so high in wherever you start off, I feel.
Yeah.
Because you're only weighing yourself within like with these people and within this group.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, now go to the place where everyone who's the best, so quote unquote, from their town or small city, go to, and weigh yourself against that. And then also give yourself the opportunity to roll that dice, because like, you don't excel in entertainment like step 1, step 2.
Yeah.
It's always like step 1, step 99.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and here I am.
And step -4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there's no manual. There's no like way to do it. And
it's like having a baby. It just shows up. It just happens.
And yeah,
then you got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like been my that's a short version of my comedy journey.
Yeah.
Just like, trying to like do stuff, and then trying to like now I'm actually trying to like create content or like make something, you know, like got the podcast, got other stuff coming into the works.
Yeah.
And just trying to also just be a sharp writer. Cause I mean,
yeah, because that's a good thing to have, of course. And the and I think we were talking at one point about like how you wanted to go to New York as well, right?
Yeah, New York or LA, but I'm leaning more towards New York. I have more of a base there.
Sure.
And then
that's really important.
It also like the people that I really do like and respect are there. Mm-hmm. Like the people who like Sydney Washington, Marie Faustin, J. Bookie White, Mike Lawrence, even some of our friends here in the scene, Paul Jumius, Ashley Diaz, May Durand, Alberth Bursey.
Yep.
A bunch of people like I really do like and respect are there.
Of course.
So I'm thinking like I'll have a good home base there. So I feel like I could do it there. Also, like I want to be weighed by people. Like I want to be weighed by people that like are at that level. Mm-hmm. So I want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, again, you can always get better in your hometown or whatever, but once you get to a certain point, you kind of just need that like kick in the pants from seeing other people that you admire and then being like, oh, well, I need to get on that level or whatever. At least for me, that's just how I feel about it. So, do you have any gigs or anything like that coming up or?
Jibber Jabber with Reggie, Spotify and iTunes. Gonna expand shortly. Gonna be making an Instagram, working on the graphics. Right now, the recordings have taken a break, but I have 10 episodes that you can all check out.
Yeah.
Mike is in one of them, and it's a lot of fun. And other than that, no new shows, but stay posted. Check me out on Instagram at Black Dadaist. That's BlackDadaist.
Yeah. For me, you can find me on Instagram at Mike Valdes, on Twitter at I am Mike Valdes. For the website, for comedy, music, all that kind of stuff, go to whoismikevaldes.com. And that's it, man. This has been an episode. We're putting this one in the books. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Childlike at Best with Mike Valdes. And come back next time when I interview a different